This 1999 Ford E450 has a mind of its own. You turn the key off and nothing happens. Engine keeps running like it refuses to die. In today's diagnostic deep dive, we'll follow the trail from the ignition switch to the fuse box, chase power through the wiring, and uncover the unexpected component that's keeping this van alive. Let's get into it. This ought to give us a very good idea of how power is distributed. I believe that, obviously we have something backfeeding. Most likely, that's what I think. I think something's backfeeding to the ignition switch. Or the ignition switch has failed, one of the two. I can unplug it. We're not sure how this is going to go. So let's find the ignition switch first off. Here we go. Okay. So we got D and C, 1 of 5, 1 of 5. B, D, and C come from fuse 23, 60 amp in the battery junction box. Okay, now that's probably hot at all times. So, 1 of 4, B, one of 4. Oh, that's confusing. Why does it say B from fuse 15, diagram 1 of 4? Okay, fuse 15, sorry. Okay. Fuse 15, 40 amp. The discrepancy. See, it has an A here, and it says to fuse 17, 1 of 5. They completely wrote that wrong. Here's our fuse 17. That was a little confusing. I was like, what's going on? All right. So hot at all times. Yep. It's going to be hot at all times. Zoom out. So our ignition switch for sure will be hot at all times. So essentially we do need to go to the ignition switch, I'm sure. And we need to figure out our red with light greens or our black with light greens are hot. I'm assuming that that's what's going to be going on. So let's go to K, which is 4 or 5. Right here. K. What does that power up? Fuel line heater. PCM diode. Okay. NGV timer, idle validation switch. We got instrument cluster, overdrive switch, low vacuum warning buzzer module, instrument cluster, 4-wheel drive. Now L, which is 5 of 5. And here we have L. We have our radio, main light switch, remote keyless, windshield wiper, wiper control module. Wow, that's interesting. Trailer battery charge relay, the transmission range switch, right power door lock window switch, master window door lock control switch. So this one here is interesting. Circuit breaker 43, 20 amp. They did say mess with the door, that they had just replaced the door and they had to do some wiring. So it may be better actually to go ahead and check these fuses instead of going straight to the ignition switch. Let's see which fuses are hot, and if we can remove one of these fuses to isolate the circuit instead of going to the ignition switch and unplugging it, we can probably isolate the circuit. With our K here, and we can check these fuses and see if they're hot and remove them one by one and see if we can fix the problem from there. All right, as we see, I've got the key out, it's in my hand, and the cluster is still lit up. So we're going to come down here to the lower fuse box and start checking. Okay, so fuse number 9 is at 30 amp. 8, 9. That fuse is not even there. Nor does it power up. So let's go to fuse number 3. 1, 2, and 3. And that fuse is not hot. Okay, so it's not that circuit. So 43 is a 20 amp circuit breaker on 43. I don't see, oh, well, this must be it. Nope. Still same deal. Okay. We checked fuse 3, 9 was not even there. We didn't check fuse 15. It's a 5 amp fuse. I'm using a high amp test bulb. So we're going to go to fuse 2, probably an 8. So fuse number 2 right here is hot. So that's where we're at. Okay. Now we're going to pull these fuses. All right, so now we found that fuse number 2, which is a 15 amp fuse, is nice and hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull 2, 20, 14, and 8 until this dash turns off. All right, we got all these fuses out. We no longer have a service engine soon light, but we still have ABS. So the ignition is still on. And we have removed these 4 fuses, and they still are hot on the feed side. And they should not be hot on the feed side. And so I came over and we went through L already, and L is not hot. J goes to the starter most likely because it's on the start. And then we have off run, sorry. And none of these fuses are hot. We checked these, none of them are hot. This is our ignition switch. And we have red and light green. There's nothing. And nothing on this one either. That's very strange. Our yellows are the power feeds. Nothing coming out of the ignition switch on these wires. Yet this wire is for sure hot. So let's check the other wires on the ignition switch. Got nothing. There's just nothing coming out of that ignition switch. All right, so this is very confusing that fuse number 2 shows still hot, even while it's unplugged. We're hot. That's 2. The other side is not hot. So that's fuse number 2. What other fuses do we have? Fuse number 8. Let's try number 8 real quick and make sure it's hot. 8. Fuse number 8 is not hot. What other ones are there? 14. It's not hot. How about 20? Fuse 20, 18, 19, 20. And we're not hot. Okay, so the problem is right here. It's fuse 2. It's backfeeding. All right, now that we understand that we are backfeeding on fuse 2, we can troubleshoot this system a little bit better. We've got low vacuum, warning switch, warning buzzer module, instrument cluster, and 4-wheel anti-lock brake system. Now we have a splice, engine control harness, left rear of engine compartment, another splice. What's going to be the best way to attack these? Warning buzzer module, RV only. On the diagram, I was not paying attention and reading everything, but this says diesel only. So we don't have a diesel. This is a gasoline engine. Perfect. Remove the engine cover. Oh boy. Warning bezel module, rotate at 90 degrees. How about component locations? We're gonna make us dig for it. W. Behind center of instrument panel. Fantastic. It's going to be 151-12-F7. It's your driver's seat. Perfect. Doesn't even show it. Couldn't be any better than that. So it must be on the driver's side. I'm not sure. What other items might there be? The instrument cluster, 4-wheel anti-lock brake system relay. Let's see if we can find that. 4-wheel anti-lock brake system relay. Okay, let's see here. We'll see if they show it to us. Here's the module. Instrument cluster. And you know what? Look what's on still. I think we're on the right path. I think it's something to do with this 4-wheel drive system. Central junction box, fuse 2, 15 amp. Zoom in for you guys there. Fuse 2, 15 amp. Starter run, instrument cluster, ABS module, warning lamp output, so that's a ground. Ignition switch, start. Dual brake warning switch, brake warning lamp low, which we have. The low warning lamp is on. Okay, when the low fluid level condition, a path to ground is provided through the dual brake warning switch to disable the ABS system and illuminate the ABS indicator. So I wonder if unplugging the ABS module would be the way to go. I think we should go see if we can find it, because this is only a bulb circuit. It's getting grounded, but it must also be getting power. So it's receiving power and ground, because this fuse is unplugged, but yet there must still be power on this wire, and which is allowing this to illuminate. So the power problem may be ahead of the instrument cluster. It may be worth our time to look at an instrument cluster diagram. All right, we're going to start the basics, the powers and grounds. Fuse 2 is a power to the cluster. So honestly, I think that we're going to have to unplug the instrument cluster. Let's go to the next page. Let me go back. Provides delay circuit to the fuel gauge, which prevents the fuel gauge from fluctuating due to excessive movement in the fuel tank. Okay. So let's see if fuse 4 is hot. So fuse 4 and 36, neither are hot. And actually, fuse 4 says hot at all times. It's pretty interesting. Where does fuse 4 come from on the power distribution diagram? Okay, fuse 4. That's supposed to be hot at all times. Sifting through our diagrams here, we come across 4-wheel anti-lock brake system relay, which is powered up by fuse number 2. So we click this hot link. If you notice, we have 4-wheel anti-lock brake system relay right here. We managed to unplug this relay, which was located, it's right over there. We unplugged it, and we're going to check this yellow wire, and it's hot. So we're not backfeeding from the relay. We can scratch this relay off the list. I got a feeling that something was jumped. There's a warning buzzer module. We have the instrument cluster. I'm gonna tell them to pull the instrument cluster. We finally got the instrument cluster out. So let's do some checks here. We have a yellow, a red with a yellow. We're lit up, nice and bright. And let's check down here on fuse number 2, make sure it's still lit up. Yep, fuse number 2 still lights up. There's 3 connectors, I think, inside of this cluster. Let's see here. Red and yellow. It's not hot. Go back to this red and yellow. Oh, it's not hot. Down here on number 2, we got nothing. It's not hot. So there's 2 red and yellows, 1 in each connector on this. They both feed the cluster, and they're backfeeding. That's the problem. The instrument cluster. Now, I don't know if this vehicle will start and run without the cluster plugged in. It may. Let's see. I'm going to plug back in these fuses real quick. Get the keys. Oh, it runs horrible. So that's a separate problem. But we got the reason why it won't turn off. That's fixed. Okay, faulty instrument cluster. All done.
It all came down to one fuse, fed by the ignition, but backfed by something else. One by one, we unplugged components until the truth was undeniable. Instrument cluster was powering the van, even after shutdown. A new cluster is going to be the fix, but the real story is the hunt. Subscribe if you want more real-world diagnostic cases like this, where vehicles don't follow the rules and neither do we.